happen. It should have happened a while ago. But
Yeah.
it is what it is. We wanted it, but it hasn't been the right time, I guess.
So I'm not. I was talking to a friend yesterday who's on the Independents, and I was just kind of we were chatting back and forth, and I was like, "Hey, do you have anything you want me to ask Saraya?" Because I know for a fact, especially with a lot of these young girls, like
Hey guys, we will soon talk about Saraya, her recent departure from AEW, or will she return to WWE, where she was known as Paige and where she started her professional wrestling career. Soon, let's check out more at the Pink Square Circle. Hey guys, we're here at the Pink Square Circle. We'll talk about will Saraya ever return to WWE after leaving AEW? Will Saraya return as Paige in WWE? Get the likes up as we come into the Pink Square Circle. We are definitely going to talk about this one. Now, this is about Saraya. She's known for her time in AEW. Now, we know that her contract was, supposed to be up soon, but she decided not to renew because it was only going to be for a year. Now, when she first debuted in AEW, it's actually garnered a lot of views, one of the highest viewed episodes on Dynamite. And since then on AEW, they really haven't done much with her as far as character development and storyline and everything. But I do know on this tweet here that she said on her social media account on X, she said it's mutual. I love my time at AEW. Had such a blast with the girls there. It'll hold a special place in my heart. Tony was great. AEW was great. I feel so lucky to be a part of the group for a couple years. And she said other stuff there as well. But she's focused on other things. She has a new podcast called Rule Breakers with Saraya. If you guys are aware of that, that's out right now on YouTube. And also, she also has the book that just came out. Her first book is called Hell in Boots, Clawing My Way Through 9 Lives. That book just came out. And I heard that a lot of people like it. There's people around social media that's in the wrestling industry that is raving about this book. So that may be something I'm going to check out myself. But also, besides her debut in AEW, the only thing I know AEW really did was Saraya. She did become the AEW Women's World Champion. She won that at All In 2023. That was for a quick pop in her hometown. But since then, she really hasn't done nothing. I know the last thing we really saw of her that was relevant, she was, aligned herself with Harley Cameron. That was on AEW Rampage that's no longer exists. That show's been canceled. Harley Cameron has taken off with her career in AEW, but there's nothing more real she could do. Also, when Saraya was known as Paige, we know she's also the former Divas and the inaugural NXT Women's Champion. So we're aware of that too. She has had quite success at WWE back in 2013 and 2014. She won the Divas title. Now, she would made history, as I spoke about before, the first woman to hold the Divas and the NXT Women's Championship until she was forced to vacate the NXT Women's Championship, holding a main roster title and being called up to the main roster. But we're going to hear what Saraya has to say on Busted Open Radio. And then she also has another interview why she will no longer face Mercedes Moné, which is the moneymaker match that everybody's talked about for years. Let's check it out here.
Anything that's not what I wanted. What I wanted to do was just like put girls over if that helped them in any way, that's all I wanted to do, and I feel like I was coming to the end of that. There was really not much left I could do. I don't think there was like a place for me anymore in there. I mean, there was probably one more thing with Mercedes I could have done, and she was completely up for it, but the only difference is that, she already has these storylines planned, and my contract was coming to an end, and I wasn't going to re-sign after September. I was not going to do it. I wanted to take a step outside of wrestling for a little bit. I have a lot going on in 2025, and I was just like, well, now I have the book coming out, and I have this role that I'm really excited about, like a big one, which I never thought I would get, is coming up. And then I have Rule Breakers podcast that's coming out tomorrow. It's just like I have a lot going on, and I wanted to get my feet wet outside of wrestling for a little bit. And Tony was so amazing with it. It was mutual. He was really great. He was like so supportive of it. He's been so supportive since, I asked for time off in November. I've been gone for a minute. And I was just like, well, there's really no place for me anymore. So yeah, we came to that decision, and I'm happy about it. And he wished me luck on everything, and the door is always open. But yeah, it's nice to just, it's scary, but I'm exploring everything outside of wrestling right now.
Yeah, I was there in Queens when you debuted in AEW, and it was such a great moment. I was with Mark Henry, and it was awesome to see you. So when I think of Saraya, I'm like, it's fucking Saraya. Like, this is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like, I got to be honest with you. I didn't think they did enough with you. Do you feel like, were you happy with the run that you had in AEW?
You know what? I'm really happy that I got the stories that I got just because I got to hang with really wonderful women, and I got to help Tony in a way right at the beginning, and I got to hang with Ruby, and like I got to be with Harley, and I think she's such a big superstar. So like even if not everyone was happy with the way, the storylines were, or I was portrayed or whatever, I had a great time. I had a great time behind the scenes. I was having fun. And, again, this isn't the end of my wrestling career or anything like that, but like maybe I'll do something later on down the line that everyone will be proud of and want to love. But like, I just want people to know I had a good time at least. Like, if you didn't like what I was doing, that's perfectly fine. Absolutely. Like, everyone's allowed to have their opinion. And even sometimes maybe I was like, oh, I wish we could be doing XYZ, but I was having a great time behind the scenes.
I mean, you won the championship in front of 80,000 fans in Wembley. I mean, that's not bad.
Yeah, I did. However, when it came to that, I was like, what I wish would happen is, I would have dropped it to Tony in California, which is like something I really wanted to do. I just felt like I was a huge heel, and she was a growing baby face. Like, actually, she was, even though she was growing, she was like the biggest baby face in the company because people love her. Even now, she's a superstar, right? But I was like, oh, the only thing I wish was a little different was that one thing where I was like, okay, I want to drop it, and I want to drop it to Tony, but either way, I'm glad it got to her, and yeah, I'm not complaining.
You were from both worlds. I feel AEW like gets a bad rap behind the scenes because I've been there, and like you said, you were happy.
Mm-hmm.
And online they talk like, oh, it's this and this, but you were there for both companies, and tribalism, all that stuff, where you've also you've gone on social media, said, hey guys, I messed up on this, whatever, blah 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 blah. But for being in it, your overall thoughts, like from the two different worlds.
Yeah, I love both. And yeah, AEW did get a bad rep, and I heard about it before I even got there, But when I was there, everyone was so welcoming. Like, Tommy, you've been there, like you said. Everyone's so sweet. Everyone like is enjoying their time back there. Like, I loved the locker room. I loved both locker rooms, but like I didn't know what to expect coming into AEW's, and they were just so sweet. We text each other, we hang out outside the company, like I love it. Again, tribalism, I don't like. I think it's ridiculous. Like you guys know behind the scenes, like all of us are like giving each other a pat on the back whenever we're doing something really special on shows. We're all very supportive of each other. We're happy that there's another company that someone can earn money. But it's just like, then you see people online, and it was hard. Coming into AEW was really hard, and I thought I made a mistake coming back to wrestling. I did that. I had a lot of time out because of my neck. I came back. The first week was amazing. I was like, holy crap, I'm on cloud nine, right?
But then, what happened before you were trying to think, like, are you going to wrestle Mercedes at any point?
I don't know. I mean, we both wanted to, so we were just waiting for that trigger to be pulled. But I think, she has other people that she has to wrestle for right now. So I don't know when that time would be. But unfortunately, I may not be there to be able to do that with her. So
that's I'm looking forward to if that happens, if it's still able to happen. But that's something I just feel like should happen. It should have happened already.
It should happen. It should have happened a while ago. But it is what it is. We wanted it, but it hasn't been the right time, I guess.
So I was talking to a friend yesterday who's on the independents, and I was just we were chatting back and forth, and I was like, hey, do you have anything you want me to ask Saraya? Because I know for a fact, especially with a lot of these young girls, like, you inspired a lot of them. And the first thing she said was like, oh, don't really have to ask her anything, but can you just tell her, like, she's the OG. Like she was the OG emo girl. Like, and I think I'm gonna blow some smoke up your ass a little bit here right now, but because I was watching at the time too, and I think you deserve your flowers too, because at a time when women's wrestling was about to change, you did come out there and you did not look like everybody else. You were not the blonde model, etc., etc. And that whole anti-diva thing was true. And I can only say the only two that really at that time felt super different was you and AJ. And I think just don't ever forget that. There's a lot of girls out there like that are wrestling now that you inspire. And it's crazy to think. Because we're not that old. Like we're not. We're young people ourselves.
I know. Like, you know what it is that I'm so my confidence within the wrestling world isn't the best, you know, because people can give people a really hard time. And like everyone has their view of like where everything started and all that kind of stuff. So I forget sometimes that I did help that like usher in that world, because everyone likes to convince me that I didn't, you know, so it's like I get really hard on myself sometimes, and it's like, but you know, it's nice to get reminded, so I appreciate it and tell her things.
All right, that was Saraya on both Busted Open Radio. She talked about, you know, her being in AEW and talking about her time there and how she's going to move on and do different things with her career. I don't think she's going to be, you know, in a rush to doing more wrestling. And she also had the casual conversations with Classic regarding would she have a match with Mercedes Moné, and she said no. Now, I would say with Saraya, since she does have the book out on the podcast, I don't think she'll ever be wrestling again, and especially with the neck, you know, her neck injury that she had. I know that she is, you know, she can wrestle and all that. I just don't think Saraya is at the point in her life she wants to wrestle anymore. She, you know, her heart's not into it like it was years ago when she was in WWE, you know, being a Divas champion, or when she was the NXT Women's Champion on NXT. Her heart's not into wrestling no more. And quite as a kept for AEW as far as that's concerned, why she didn't wrestle there, the main reason she didn't wrestle in AEW, it was just, you know, for her brother named Zach that she that she's very close with. And he's also a wrestler, and Tony Khan was able to, you know, sign him on as a talent, and she pretty much signed on as well. I don't think she's not really in it to get into AEW to be a big star or to win the World's Championship for the AEW Women's Division. She was there for that sole purpose, but Saraya, she doesn't want to wrestle anymore. She just don't want to do it, you know, and she's been like that for years. Ever since, you know, she had the neck injury, her career really hasn't been the same. I don't see the same passion, the same, you know, fire that she had years ago, because, you know, it could be a number of things. She's afraid she may injure her neck, or she just don't, you know, she got comfortable not wrestling for many, many years. Even before she left WWE, or when they mutually agreed years ago to part ways, she was in a general manager role due to her neck injury. She really wasn't wrestling, you know. So like I said, once a wrestler I've seen, and it also not just wrestling, but any sports, once they're not, you know, wrestling or whatever sport they do anymore, and they get comfortable in a spot where it's general manager, backstage, announcing, you know, whatever the case may be, they really don't want to do that anymore because they got comfortable in a new position that they are in. And we see that with Big E in WWE. We see it with Corey Graves. We see it with plenty of people. And Saraya is no different. She's just not comfortable doing it anymore. Now, the main question is, will Saraya land back in WWE? And the answer is no. The reason I say that because, as we all know, the WWE Women's Division is stacked. It's at an all-time high. It's been more stacked now than it's ever been. If you include any era from the Divas era, from the Reality era, the Women's Revolution era, to the era we're at now, we have a lot of women on the roster. Not just on Raw, not just on SmackDown, also on NXT. Shoot, even Evolve. The show WWE Evolve has a lot of women on that roster. And that's even before NXT, before you get to NXT, a very early developmental part of the WWE. So I don't see that happening. And since the roster is stacked at all-time high, WWE does not need Paige or Saraya. They don't need her, you know. I haven't heard anybody, whether you're a fan of Saraya or not, whether you really like Saraya, I haven't heard anyone. I don't hear too many people saying, WWE really needs Saraya in WWE right now. They don't have any women in the roster. They should go get Saraya. No, the ones who do want Saraya in WWE, they're just fans of her. But WWE is not in a dire need of Saraya. They don't really need her at all. Now, I will say this as far as that goes. The reason they don't need her, too, is due to her checkered history. A history of the tape that she did years ago, when she was doing adult entertainment, with Xavier Woods and Brad Maddox, But I think with that, and then, of course, I think that ruined her reputation. And WWE's under the TKO banner now, they're trying to stay away from any clout, any nonsense that may make the company look bad or shed a bad light on the company. And unfortunately, Saraya is one of them. But I will say this, when it comes to at the end of the day, the only thing I will see WWE doing with Saraya, and this is years down the line, she'll become a part of the WWE Hall of Fame. She'll be maybe get a WWE nostalgia contract, which is a Legends contract. Maybe down the line she get that, So we'll see what happens. But other than that, though, that's all I have for will Saraya ever return to WWE after she left AEW? Will Saraya ever come back to WWE? You guys let me know what you think about that. Check out the content here at Paint Square Circle. Until then, guys, I will see you guys later.